It was one fateful Saturday night that I decided, yet again, after a few glasses of wine, that I have absolutely nothing that I love in my wardrobe. I was looking at my clothes and thinking, I hate every single thing in here. And so instead of throwing everything out, like my brain was telling me that I must do, I actually decided to start categorizing my items, not into the yes, no, maybes that I pretty much always do every time I do a wardrobe declutter. But this time I chose 4 different categories and it made me see my wardrobe in a whole new light. I'm going to share it with you today. We'll go through it. Highly recommend this exercise. Whether or not you've had a few glasses of wine is to the side. Let's get into it. I had this idea in my head of a phrase that someone had said about love to wear, hate to style. And I thought, what if I separated my whole entire wardrobe into love to wear, love to style? That would be the best, the creme de la creme. Love to wear, but hate to style. And love to style, but hate to wear. So those would be the 2 piles of maybes. And then in the absolutely no category, we have hate to wear, hate to style. Which of course, why are these clothes even in our wardrobe? Why do they exist? Why are they taking up space? These 4 categories were so much easier than the always, sometimes never, or the yes, maybe, no piles, because it actually gave me clarity on why is this item a yes? Why is this item an absolute must-have versus why is this item a no? And even in the maybe categories, it helped me to understand why it was a maybe. And it was either a maybe because I enjoyed wearing it but found it difficult to style, or because I really loved to style it. I liked how it looked, but I hated actually wearing it at the end of the day. Let me tell you, I learned so much from this exercise. First, I learned that most of my clothes fitted into the love to wear, love to style category, which I was pretty proud about, but there was a hefty chunk in the maybe sort of categories. I was still holding on to fantasy version of me, the version of me that was going to one day wear this item, but when it comes down to the daily grind, I wasn't actually reaching for those items. And so I just learned that I am not as ruthless as I need to be. It's not just as easy as, okay, well, this is my lifestyle versus my aspirations, because I also found that I had been trying to make some of my items in my wardrobe do double duty where it just wasn't appropriate. Like, I was trying to get everything in my wardrobe to be like appropriate for all occasions, where that's just not the case. Like, you're just not going to be wearing a frilly pretty dress like this going on a sweaty hike with mud up a mountain. Like, that's just not going to happen. But it doesn't mean that there isn't a place for this in my wardrobe. So I also learned that I needed more strict sort of categorization within my clothes, because I would look at something and think, oh, it's only suitable for like this occasion or that occasion. And it would I would feel this feeling that I was letting myself down because not all of my clothes were versatile enough to be worn in every single situation. Which, newsflash, Alanna, it's actually okay to have like an athleisure wardrobe. Just because I'm a person who works out doesn't mean that I have to have athleisure then as like a key core component of my style. Yes, I can wear those clothes for those occasions, but it doesn't necessarily mean that then when I'm going out shopping that I need to be wearing my yoga leggings or I need to be wearing my scrubby gardening clothes. That was a huge turning point for me. Different clothes for different occasions, and that it's okay that my frilly dresses are not going to be suitable for some occasions, and that my athleisure is not going to be suitable for some occasions. And I think it took a lot of weight and pressure off me. I also realized on a very deep level how important comfort is to me for pretty much everything that I wear ever. Like whether I'm going out, whether I'm working out, whether it's daily dressing, comfort is so important. And what I realized looking at those 4 piles was that the piles that I loved to style but hate to wear have almost no place in my wardrobe. It was very, very important to me that something was that I really loved to wear it when it was on my body. I feel like that's one of my personal values, which other people may or may not share. Like for some people, it may be more important, like how you look, how you present yourself. You may be in a more like outward facing lifestyle, a more corporate lifestyle or whatever. And so for me, comfort was like the number one priority in shoes and in clothes. And I looked at the pile of clothes that I had in the love to style but hate to wear category, and I just felt like I don't want these anymore. Like these have no place in my life. It causes too much friction when I'm getting dressed. I also found that I dress quite differently in summer versus in winter. And like at the start, that was quite concerning to me because again, I have that like hang up about versatility and wanting my clothes to work all year round and like wanting things to be able to transition and just add a few more layers here and there. And what I learned is that actually my style personality does shift quite drastically from one season to the next. And when I'm in spring and summer, I want to be loose and flowy. I like dresses. In autumn and winter, I don't always like to wear those same styles of dresses. It doesn't feel correct to be wearing it in the blustery wind and the rain. All of my wardrobe doesn't have to chameleon to be able to be worn all the time. And so I think I just let myself off the hook there of realizing, you know, the like aspiration of, oh, I'm going to have a wardrobe that works all year round and I'll just chuck on layers and take off layers and it'll be perfect. It actually doesn't work with my personality, because when the weather changes, the types of clothing that I want to put on my body actually drastically changes. Lastly, and this is most concerning to me honestly, and something that I still don't really have a solution for, but I found that a lot of the time my shoes don't match my clothes. I'll give you an example. I love rouge. I love those sweet little French classic dresses, little skimpy little numbers that they have. And what I found was that even though I love that kind of dressing and that kind of style, I don't have any shoes that match that kind of style, because if you look at the Rouge website, you'll see like sweet little mules and little like kitten heels, flimsy little sandals and things like that, or else like maybe a high-heeled boot, like a knee-high boot that's with a big heel. What I found was I don't like to wear almost any of those shoes. I don't like to wear heels. I don't like to wear anything that's like strappy or flimsy or like kind of minimal like that, like really feminine, like high-heeled, kind of teetering along. That's not the sidewalk situation that I have, first of all, in my life. Like I have one pair of heels that I love. They're my little stilettos that I wear for occasions. And those shoes look incredible with all of my Rouge dresses. But the rest of my shoes are kind of like, majority of them are at odds with the dresses themselves. And I was just kind of thinking, okay, well, which is the odd one out here? Which is wrong here? Is it that I need to update my footwear, or is it that I need to stop wearing those kind of dresses? I'm kind of floating somewhere in the middle. Obviously, I want to feel at home and comfortable in the clothing, and obviously I also want to feel at home and comfortable in the shoes. But trying to wear like my pair of Birkenstocks, which are my favorite, with like my slinky blue dress, it just doesn't feel right to me. So there has to be a solution where I find something that's more comfortable, but also a little bit more feminine, that kind of bridges that gap between what my clothes are saying and what my shoes are saying. I hope that's making sense. I don't know if anybody else has this issue or it's just me, but I feel like my shoes are speaking a vastly different style language than my clothes. Lastly, I wanted to also mention the joy per wear of the items, because what I've realized is that much more than the cost per wear of an item, the thing that matters most to me is the joy per wear. How happy is this item making me as I wear it? Does it make me feel my best? Am I feeling like myself? Am I feeling comfortable? Am I feeling like I can take on the day? Am I feeling like it's appropriate for the task at hand and I'm not feeling out of place? Like this dress, for example, is probably one of the most expensive things in my wardrobe that I bought from Christy Dawn. I wouldn't change a single detail on this dress. I love this dress, and the joy per wear that I get from wearing this dress is so much more than, for example, like the Uniqlo dress that I got. That's probably the closest style to this dress in my wardrobe. It's like the closest thing to being a dupe. But how I feel when I wear this dress is like, I can't explain how much better I feel versus wearing that dress, because the details on that dress aren't exactly the way that I want them. Like the sleeves on that one are like ever so slightly more like stiff and poofy, whereas these are kind of like a little bit more soft and they kind of lie more onto the shoulder. There's something about wearing this dress that I always feel good no matter when I put it on, versus putting on that one, which would be so close, and like in photographs it would probably do much the same thing that this dress does, but the feeling and the joy per wear on this dress, even though it cost like 10 times the amount of that dress, is 10 times more. Like it actually is scaled up to the price. Like I paid more, but I love it so much more. I also factor that in, and that's not always the case of like the more I pay, the more I love it. That's not always the case, but I always factor in the joy per wear much more so than the cost per wear on each of the items in my wardrobe. As long as you love what you're buying, love what you're wearing, and love how you feel when you're wearing it, you're going to be building a wardrobe that actually suits you and fits your lifestyle so much more than if you're just buying things that are so sensible and like make a lot of sense for you. Yes, we all need basics and we all need like things that complement our favorite pieces, but we absolutely have to have pieces in our wardrobe that make us feel $1,000,000. So I'd love to hear from you. Are you going to do this? Have you done this before? Have you heard this idea anywhere before? Because I feel like I heard the love to wear, hate to style, or like something like that from someone, and I can't for the life of me remember who it was, where I heard it. So if you know who to credit for this idea that got me going with my wardrobe, please let me know and I'll like write their name down below or something. But yeah, how do you feel about your wardrobe? Are you going to categorize your wardrobe like this? Have you done this before? Is there anything in particular in your wardrobe that you love to style but hate to wear? Because those ones are the ones that get you, I think. Anyway, I'm gonna leave the video here for today. Hopefully you found it helpful. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for hanging out with me. I adore you guys, and I'll see you so shortly in our next video together. Bye.